Well, thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I have an amendment, and I'll pass it to the pages. The original is on top there, and the rest are in there. Thank you. Oh, no, hang on, I'm sorry. This is the original, and I'll grab that one from over there. Madam Chair, during the course of debate on this issue, we've had some confusion creep into this vis-a-vis the scope of this bill, and it specifically has to do with the scope of the species in question. Now, there's been some conflicting back and forth on this, and it's concerning to me and it's concerning to a lot of my colleagues because, at the very least, they want clarification. Now, the bill states domestic animals and those stated or designated in regulation, and I'll just find that here.
Your amendment will be referred to as A13.
Thank you, and I'll actually read it into the record here in a moment, but it's starting with 48.1 sub 1A. In respect of a domestic cat or dog or other specified type of domestic animal. And then it continues, in various other sections that there's this, and it's interesting because the minister in one of the debates that we've had said, well, the bill is very specific that it's dealing with household pets. Well, if that's the intent, and that's fine that it'd be limited to household pets, and again, household pets is not a real strong term, I would say let's bring it down to specific species. Because household pets can include a number of different species of birds, guinea pigs, ferrets, gerbils, hamsters, snakes, lizards, water sliders, you name it. There's a wide variety of species. And this bill is unclear. And furthermore, the domestic animal thing, they said, well, not food-producing animals. So I've had a lot of questions from horse owners saying, well, where does it leave horses? I mean, my horse is my pet. Doesn't happen to be in the house. It's not a household pet, but it is my pet. And so the purpose of this bill is to try to get some clarity with regards to this amendment rather, is exactly what animals are involved. So I move that Bill 31, A Better Deal for Consumers and Businesses Act, be amended in Section 2, Sub 2, as follows. In the proposed Section 48.1 by striking out or other specified type of domestic animal. B, in the proposed 48.2 in subsection 2 by striking out and prescribed types of domestic animals. In subsection 3 rather, by striking out and other types of domestic animals. C, in the proposed section 48.3 sub 1, I, by striking out clause A. 2, in clause D, by striking out and other types of domestic animals. And 3, in clauses F and G, by striking out and specified types of domestic animals. Now, Madam Chair, while some of our other amendments have fallen on the rocky shores, the rocky shoals of government resistance, shall we say, this one should be easy, because this one basically is putting the language into the bill that the minister says is in the bill, or should be in the bill, or this was her intent to have it in the bill. And yet, it's not what the bill says. And there may be an argument that, well, if the minister said it in the House, it's in Hansard, and Hansard's part of the public record, and therefore it's official. Well, I'll tell you, most veterinarians I know don't tote around copies of Hansard to know exactly which species are referred to in this bill. They might carry around a piece of the legislation, a copy of Bill 31, but they're not going to be toting around Hansard. And so we need clarity on this. If the intent of the government is to restrict this bill only to dogs and cats, then say so. It's fairly simple and straightforward, and I'll give you yet another reason why it's important. Now, this is from a colleague of mine, and this colleague has got a very impressive list of qualifications. She holds a Bachelor of Science in Agriculture, a Doctor of Veterinary Medicine, a master's degree in avian health and medicine, and she is a diplomat on the American College of Poultry Veterinarians. She is also the director of the National Veterinary Services and Quality Assurance for a large national food production company in Canada, and she's a member of the ABVMA. And she writes, as a food animal veterinarian working solely in the poultry industry, I am additionally concerned that the proposed amendments to the VPA are unclear in relation to food animals. Despite numerous industry standards in place for poultry, swine, cattle, and dairy industries, producers still occasionally switch between veterinarians to obtain either the answer or the medication they are seeking. Often this comes with food safety consequences the alternative veterinarian is not fully aware of due to a lack of complete historical knowledge of the client. One such example is the medication of poultry flocks for Salmonella enteritidis and other Salmonella species, an action which can mask the true health status of a flock. While treatment can reduce the rate of bacterial shedding, it can also increase the risk of antimicrobial resistance. Furthermore, since treatment does not cease shedding, it means Salmonella bacteria will remain a risk to food safety for as long as the flock remains in production. By promoting clients switching veterinarians, situations such as these, where food safety concerns are obscured or ineffectively dealt with, will only increase in number, putting at risk the health of our consumers as well as our ability to meet regulatory standards for the export of livestock products. The proposed amendments to the VPA within Bill 31 and the process taken to incorporate them are gravely concerning. I urge you to withdraw them as soon as possible to protect the integrity of self-governance in Alberta, the health of our patients, and the safety of our food supply. And so, you see, Madam Chair, the inclusion of a vague definition of which animals are actually involved in this bill creates concerns. It creates a considerable concern because there's not real clarity as to whether we're talking about food-producing animals, domestic animals, or who it is that we're talking about. Now, the minister has stated, and she stated publicly, that this is for household pets. Then let's have the bill language match what the minister's intent is. I cannot understand why you would leave the current language in place, which is vague and open-ended, and could result in the inclusion of additional species when the intent is to have it for dogs and cats. And if that is the case, then the passage of this amendment, whatever it is now, A13, the passage of this amendment would result in the getting rid of that ambiguity and would result in clarity on this issue, which I think is extremely important that we have for the sake of not just of the consuming public, but also for the sake of the veterinary profession. And I would ask for support of the amendment.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Are there any other members wishing to speak to the Amendment A13? Seeing none, I will call the question. On Amendment A13 as proposed by the Honourable Member for Vermilion-Lloydminster. Are you agreed? Agreed. Opposed? No. The amendment is defeated. Are there any other members wishing to speak to the bill? Seeing none, I will call the question.